Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. This is basically the another part of the words. In this, basically, we are going to discuss sprint refinement, sprint planning, and sprint backlog. Basically, so sprint backlog basically everybody knows. The project manager define the task, everything basically he defines, and then basically he allocates to the backlog. Everything basically puts into the backlog. Then he basically still now basically the planning has not done. Now basically the refinement basically comes into the picture. Sprint refinement basically. So sprint refinement basically say that here basically the planning basically doesn't comes. In sprint refinement basically the sequence is like this. Product backlog, then sprint refinement. So here also basically little bit planning basically are done. Resource level planning basically has not done basically yet. Then basically the sprint planning basically comes into the picture. So here basically in planning basically the planning comes into the picture, that is the resources planning. So this everything is plan of the task, allocation task, who is going to do which task, how basically the task is going to be done, is there any dependency or not done. So these all basically are because everything's when the sprint is prepared basically that time basically you can't say that this resource this sprint basically we created that is this task basically which we created in this sprint basically that was supposed to be done in second number sprint, but we basically done in first number. So that type of uh, error basically is not adjustable basically in project management plan basically. That's why basically the sequence of backlog, then the sprint refinement basically says, and then basically the sprint planning basically comes into the picture. So this is also one of the words basically. Now basically we will say little bit short form UTC, unit test cases. That basically everybody knows when the project is created, as in that basically login screen is created, that time basically the unit test cases are prepared basically. Sometimes basically the developers prepares the unit test case because he know each and every condition, but he can't test. Why? Because he has created the stuff. So he prepares the UTC team basically prepares the UTC, that is the unit test cases basically. That basically what is UTC, that basically we have already discussed in my previous video basically. Then the PS basically, that is the project specification. Project specification is the, for example, login screen is supposed to be created by the developer. So how developer basically is going to create that? He needs some source basically, right? Or basically give the website source basically, but there basically the logic is business logic basically you can't give. So login screen has to be developed. So for that basically project specification is required. Project specification contains everything basically, most of related to the login screen is to be prepared basically. Then basically the project management plan. In this basically more than 20 plus project plans basically comes. Few plans basically are like this: cost management plan, resource level management plan, schedule level management plan, that is the WBS. Then the resources level management plan, then the communication level management plan. So these all basically are the project management plan basically, which basically say that basically you are supposed to be prepared the project management plan. HLD, high level design, that basically everybody knows. High level design basically are upper than the project management plan basically. Their high level designs basically are prepared. Solution architecture, the everything basically is written in the HLD basically. Then basically comes as a functional requirement, entire flow of the system, scope of the definition, scope of the project, then the data flow, data access basically, how basically will be the input, output, reports, and error handling stuff basically, secrets of the system basically, if there any secret is there basically. Project charter, the document basically, project charter is containing the stakeholders and the sponsor information basically are given in the stake project charter basically. Then the project schedule basically, schedule of the entire project basically, you can say WBS basically. Business cases that basically everybody knows all the program cases, risk information, everything basically is given here. Register basically, all risk related register basically are dumped here. Scope statement basically everybody knows. Scope, the boundary of the project basically. Then the project budget basically, how do you know that basically we have already discussed. Cost of the project basically. Then the project communication plan basically, that everybody knows. Then the project staff reports basically, that everybody knows. Project closer templates basically, that everybody knows. If you are closing any, for example, one login screen is prepared, so that has to be closed, right? Basically, so close mail is supposed to be sent by the developer side, or basically the project manager side, to the client basically, and the client basically say that basically, yeah, basically now it's okay, you can close the login specification. The project proposal template, that basically everybody, for example, one business development officer basically went to one office, to the he basically told that basically, yes, basically client, we got the client, so they basically give the quotation that basically this is the project, this is your requirement, this is your boundary of the scope, and this each and every stuff basically is basically dumped into the template, and we basically send the proposal, and this will be the cost, this will be the timeline, everything basically we dump into that template, that is basically the proposal plan basically, you can say. And then basically we send the proposal. If he accept the proposal, then basically the project basically starts, because costing everything basically we have done. The 50 percentage payment, this, that, each and every stuff basically written, so they basically gets the payment, and then basically the project is started. Then basically project breakdown structure, everybody knows, that is the WBS. Then basically HDLC basically, that is basically software development life cycle, that basically everybody knows. In that basically the initialization basically comes, planning basically comes, execution comes, and then basically the project monitoring and controlling also basically comes. In this, initialization is there, then the planning is there, then the development is there, then the testing is there, then basically the closing or monitoring basically steps comes into the picture. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this videos, that is the project management, project words basically, and everything containing the words which are used into the companies.